G'day guys, going to do a bit of a explanation on the upgrades that we do to the GPZZ 7000. So I just call it a ZZ, so you know what I'm talking about, the 7000. This one here has been done, and the fellow who owns it will probably recognize it with the sort of coil on it and everything. It's ready to be picked up. So this 7000 is done, and I'm going to organise with this customer that I'll put it there. I don't want it to fall over. Stay there. Good. I'm going to organise with this customer because he has a YouTube channel. Okay, and I'm going to see if he will put up his comments using this detector after we've done it and just tell us his thoughts. There are a few others out there that I've done detectors for, including 7 and 6s, and they have their own YouTube channels. But I think because they're more or less full-time prospectors, they don't want anyone to know what they're using. This is my thoughts. It's interesting how things work, but I do know from what I have been told that there's other people running around with various modifications on detectors, but there's this big, as far as I know, I can't prove it because I can't get in close enough because, you know, I'm sort of like, enemy number one. That there's kickbacks and things like this going, and it's really promoted heavily. But it's quite funny that I've done so many detectors over the years, and if I ask, people will comment and say, "Oh, yeah, I use it. It's great, fantastic, da da da, whatever." But no one's out there making videos and stuff like this because there's no. I don't give kickbacks. I don't pay people to say. I'll say, oh, if you go and push our modifications in your videos, I'll sling you over a couple of $100 or something like that. I don't do that. Maybe I should, right? But I just think that is not the way to go. It's not the right thing to do. So I've never done it. I just haven't done it. I've got companies wanting me to plug their products on this channel, and I won't do it because now I'm beholden to them. And if they put out something that I don't like, I'm in a bind to say that it's crap when they're flinging you money for your good opinions. I can't go there. I'm just not going to do it. I can't do it. So, be aware with comments and pictures and videos pushing particular things. Ask yourself, what is the benefit to the person making the video, right? Does it help them get more gold pushing a particular product? It doesn't. So what's the channel about? Is it about really showing people how to detect, where to go, the ground, the detectors, how they work and everything? Or is it more along the lines of a money-making venture? And as far as I can tell, most people set up on YouTube probably just to see what they can do and how it all goes and that. And when it gets big enough, it becomes financial. I'll give you an idea. My videos I do on on YouTube, it's not a lot of money. Last month, I think the payment from YouTube was $400. Okay, so it's $100 a week. But the funny thing people don't realise, what do I do with that money? Do you think I add it to my general accounts? No, I actually use it to buy parts to do experiments on metal detectors. It goes back into this so I can make better experiments, try things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I put it in because it's like it's a no-win, no-loss situation. So, and occasionally guys out there will send me a few bucks as well through whatever you call it. I don't know. It comes through. I know there's a fellow Jason out there who always sends money if I do a good video and it's got some technical information. Probably he can use that, so he thinks it's worthwhile sending a few dollars through the YouTube, whatever it is. I don't do it, so I don't know. It just turns up. Got no idea. Anyway, I want to talk about the 7,000 and 6,000s, and also SD, GP, GPZ, older ones, and 6,000, 7,000s. Okay, and we've done 2300s as well, but they are difficult to work on, and there is not much more you can get out of the 2300. The other detectors, yes, there is. Now, a lot of people, I'm going to say a lot of people, because a lot of people aren't technical, don't understand what we do to 6,000s and 7,000s. They probably got a better idea what we do to the older 5,000s, 4,500s, GP everything and SD everything. The trick with metal detecting, and I actually plugged a guy last night. Have a look at my shorts. Not the ones I'm wearing, because I've actually got tracky pants on, but the videos that are shorts that are on this channel. The last one I did, it's a fellow called Luke. Luke found a pretty large nugget, and that was his start, as getting a bit of fame. But I tell you what, there are some really good ones out there, right? This is not taking away from anyone. I just got to be careful, because I know people get peed off if I don't, if I say something about someone and not them. But there are good YouTube channels to do with prospecting that I subscribe to. They are really good. But this fellow Luke, I can't remember what he calls himself. Anyway, have a look on the short. He was doing a hands-on demonstration of the 6,000. Okay, and he was testing it with the new Coiltech coils, and he was giving a really good run into how to set up the detector, and lots of stuff that people possibly do not know. And I'm just watching him and I'm going, you're right, that's right, 100%, 100%. I agreed with everything he did in the setup of the 6,000. There was one thing there he did, but he said, but it's, I don't know if it's real or not. Maybe it is, because I wouldn't know that it stores information on the detection channelization for interference. It locks it into memory. I don't know if that's actually true. I think it just scans the channels, and every time you do it, it just picks the cleanest part of the spectrum it operates in and just locks it in there. I don't know about it saying, well, oh, there's EMI here and here and here, and it just and it jams that out. Not even going to look at those frequencies in further use or turn on or whatever of the detector. And he said basically you should reset it, so it resets all these locked out parts of the spectrum that I don't know if that's true. Someone please tell me. I have no idea. I'm not going to sit down with 6,000 and cause interference in different parts of the spectrum, and eventually it'll just keep settling on one frequency or one number. Basically, these things work. They got like if the spectrum's like this, it works in say this much spectrum, and this is chopped up into how many channels there are. Basically, just little widths of the frequency spectrum, and sometimes you can get interference, here, not there, here, not there, especially from power lines. And what it does, it scans, and the least signal it detects, it will go and lock onto that. It'll say, oh, I'll sit here now, because there's noise here and there's noise there, and I'll sit here. But sometimes with electrical interference, it drifts. So you might have noise and it does this over time. You've probably noticed it on your older detectors that you'll be using it, especially on the GPs. Oh, it does it to any detector. That you'll be going along, and the detector starts whoop, 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 faster, 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 and then slows off and goes the other way. That's drift, and it could be drift from the detector itself, and it could be a frequency drift of a remote source of interference. So, they're not stable. It just doesn't sit there like that. They drift and go over here and over there. Not normally from power line interference, because it's pretty well set, and all the harmonics and multiplication from it is set. It just does not move. But people using generators, okay? Generators can, if it's an older type of generator, can vary the frequency with revs of the engine. And, the inverter type, or converter type of sine wave generators too should be pretty stable, but they do move. They move a couple of hertz. And if you move 50 hertz, like 51, 52, 49, 48, then you work out the harmonic content of that. And if you double the frequency, well, 2 hertz is now 4. And if you keep going all the way up into where the detector is operating, you work out, say, for instance, we want to look at something like 30 kilohertz, and you look at 50 goes into 30,000 so many times, and then you'll work out that 2 hertz movement here is whop further up this frequency spectrum if it is generating harmonics. The way all this stuff works. The other thing too, and I've said it in other videos, I don't like repeating it over and over, but shortwave radio stations definitely cause interference to detectors, especially at sunset and sunrise, when the ionosphere is getting charged up. The ionosphere is this thing above the Earth. It's just ionized gas clouds, more or less, not really gas, ionized particles in layers, E layer, D layer, F1 and F2, and they all bend, or not really reflect, but refract. Radio waves from remote places hits the ionosphere, and it can go thousands and thousands of miles. So you could have, a broadcast station in, say, Indonesia, broadcasting, and because of the layers do this, and the angle it comes down on, if it's lower, it's going to come down here. If it's higher, it's going to come down over here. And I'm talking, 500 kilometers distance differences. And if the ionosphere is doing this and the radio waves are hitting it and coming down where you are, and it's concentrated, and there's some relationship to that signal to your detector is going to pick that up, and it's going to make whop, whop, whop noises. And sometimes you can have it, it'll do it for 15 minutes and go away. The other thing they do is they run radio sonde transmitters. Basically, they transmit straight up. They're all over the outback in Australia. They're done for ionospheric experiments and sounding. It sends a signal basically up, and the signal comes straight down. So if you're within probably 100 kilometers of these things, just the incidence of attack and the way these layers are, it can come back down and completely stuff up your detector. Same with the over-horizon radars, running 2 million watts in one direction, and it's not like the antenna doesn't have, you know, um, perfect shielding, that it doesn't come out the back of it. Yes, it does. So if you want to have a look at the gain of the antennas, they might be around 20 dB or something of that nature. 2 million watts going that way, but you know, it might be minus 20 dB the other way. So minus 20 dB, 2 million watts, and you still got a hell of a lot of power coming back out of the back of the antennas. And these things are all HF, and if there's enough ground wave or whatever from these things, Queensland cops them, WA cops them. There's none in Victoria, there's none in New South Wales, but it can go ionospheric as well. They do that in the forward direction. They want to look at what's taking off in an airport in Indonesia or somewhere around the place. They can actually monitor aircraft takeoffs with this basically over the horizon backscatter radar thing. Anyway, can't say too much about that because I know people that worked on it. A lot of it's classified, so I don't want to get dragged into that. But it very powerful, and it affects metal detectors. So, and they vary the frequency all the time too, looking for the best. Basically getting the signal off the ionosphere there. Various frequencies work better at various different times of day, different events from the sun, how it can, pump out charged particles. It affects different layers. The layers recombine, they spread out, they go high, they go low. Read an ionosphere, right? So that's basically its ions around the sphere of the Earth. So anyway, this can affect your detectors. Now, I want to get on to what actually we do to these other detectors. Now, I think I did a video, I showed you that these detectors have internal switching mode power supplies. They need to generate different voltage from the battery. Like, it needs to generate positive and negative voltages. It needs to power the transmitter. And there's various circuits, especially now. There's 3.3 volt or even 2.7 volt electronics now that use very little power. But you have to convert your 8 volts battery, or whatever it may be, into positive and negative voltages, especially for things like the way all the op amps and that work in these. Also, it has switches that can work in a negative quadrant and positive, and all these things in there can make noise if they're on and off, but they do it at thousands of times a second. So when you're doing that with anything that is electrical, it generates harmonics, it generates noise, it wants to act like a radio transmitter. Just like anything that goes up and down electrically, like this or like that, generates harmonics, it generates noise. And the closer you get, if you're looking at things in a frequency domain, you get closer and closer to it. If you're measuring, you may not even be on that curvature or square wave. The closer you get to it, it starts making noise. You can actually detect it, and it wrecks things that wreck radio reception, things that used to wreck TV reception when we had antennas and it wasn't all cable. But this happens to our detectors. But what happens if you have all this EMI stuff, which can be external in the detector, because it's full of little power supplies and they're all doing this, right? They're all generating noise. And there is ways that we use ferrites and things and ferrite transformers, and we try and stop that leakage. But as soon as the wire comes out and touch a track on a circuit board, well, that track now is an antenna. It will generate noise. Now, I don't care how good anyone is, right? I really don't care. Switch mode power supplies, you can't shut them up enough in a lot of circumstances. You basically you've got to put capacitors on the output. You can put series inductors, capacitor, series inductor, capacitor, and whatever. But there's still ripple. There's ripple on the power supply lines. It's very hard to get rid of high frequency ripple. You can do it at 50 hertz with some diodes and some big electrolytic capacitors, and you can smooth out these slow waveforms, right? That's why power supplies have got clean output. So here's a switch mode power supply. You look at the output, it's going to have all this residual noise on it. It could be 5 millivolts, 10 millivolts of noise, but 5 millivolts, 10 millivolts in something so sensitive as a metal detector, which is looking at, very low numbers, maybe nanovolts into very low microvolts at those signal levels, and you got 10 millivolts going da 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 near that circuitry, in that circuitry, supplying that circuitry. What do you think happens when you got, say, that much noise, okay, and you've got that much signal, right? Well, we can't hear this anymore. We don't hear this because this is over the top of it. We can hear this, but we can't hear that. The trick to making all these detectors work the best they can is getting this here down there, right? Because now this signal is above the noise here. We can hear all that now. Now we can't because this is swamping it. Noise, noise, noise over the top. And you've got this little whisper here, and this is going shouting. It's shouting over the whisper. So we can shut the shouter up here, and now you can hear the whisper, okay? It's no good running amplification. You're going to amplify this. What are you going to do? Make all the noise bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're going to bring up this maybe, and it goes like this as well, but it's still up here. It doesn't make any difference. You have to get rid of the noise. This is why EMI in general completely smashes people's detecting ability, because it overrides, it does a lot of things actually. It overrides the tiny signals you're listening for. The tiny little things that go like this, right? And you got something doing this over it, da 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 da. You're not going to hear it. You're going to walk over it. You will not know it's there. Okay? It's no way known. That's why I say get the jitter out of detectors. This is why I like this Luke guy of the 6000. He said he runs the gain on 2 bars, right? 2 bars. He has no noise in that detector. It's quiet. And I've seen so many people with the thing cranked up, and they go, oh, it's noisy, it's noisy. Of course it's noisy. If your neighbour turned their amplifier full bore in the house next door, it'd be noisy as well. But with detecting, you want your detector quiet. And this is what we do. We make it quiet. We do everything possible to make it quiet. And with the fives for thousands, 45s, 4000s, 35s, 3000s, going all the way to GP Extremes, the old SDs and that. Well, yes, we make them quieter. We lower the noise floor of the input stage, because the input stage makes noise as well. It may be 1 nanovolt per hertz over the range, right? It may be this much noise. Now, if there's a signal in here, you're not going to hear it, right? In that noise, you're not going to hear it. It's internally generated noise, okay? You're not going to hear it. What happens if we do this? Well, the noise is now down here, but any signal that was in that noise before is now above that noise floor. This is critical. So this is what we do with the 6000 and 7000 detectors to internally lower its own noise floor. That's what we do. Now, there's people out there making videos of their detector and comparing it with this. This is mind blowing. This mind blows me what people do. I'll give you an example. There's someone out there had their detector done. I'm gonna say this because it's 100% true. This person is that far away from being in a really big pile of poo, really bad. I've had discussions with, we could say, people in suits, and I have absolute perfect grounds to do something, but we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. I've been accused of a lot of things, and they're trying to show that there's my brain actually goes around in circles when you've got someone who has no clue to how these things work, trying to explain how it works. Right? It'd be like me trying to explain the intricacies of a nuclear power station. I don't have the faintest idea. I know how it works, right? I know it's got control rods and stuff, and it gets hot, right? It's a bloody big steam kettle. But the all the feedback networks and all the electronics and control and backup, I don't know. I've got no idea. So I'm not going to talk about it, right? People should stay in their lane, okay, with talking about stuff, putting it out in public and saying it as fact. What this guy's done, right? He sent us an email and it said something along the lines that we did his 7,000 for him. This is the only one who has ever blown up in our face as such. He sent an email, sent it to David actually, and the email said that he was doing some tests, and in the thing he made mention of getting 15% more depth on some target, and then he said there's another target and it was the same, and then in the email it said, oh, actually I've come back to the test site and the ground is wet, so I'm testing in wet ground. Will that affect the detection ability? And there was a whole heap of dribble about burn-in time or something. Has it got capacitors in it that, like in audio amplifiers, you've got to burn them in or something? Burn them in? What are you talking about? It's old wives' tales. It's absolute rubbish. So, or is there? There was something about does the detector gain noise or something? Look, I can't. It's a long time ago. So this guy sent this email, and I didn't even know how to answer it. I looked at it and I went, "Yeah, okay. What I'll think is the ground's going to dry out. He'll go back there and he'll test it, right?" And didn't hear boo back. This is back in September, okay? September. And he sent the email probably having it. Oh, that's right. And the last part of his email, this is like a day or two maybe after he got it back, or something about, oh, I hope this cures my gold drought. So obviously he has a gold drought, which means he didn't find gold with the detector in the first place, and then he's dropped it in. You know, I've done everything to shut it up, and this is the very interesting part, right? He went and bought, so he says, and this is 6 months later. He decides to make this video trying to do a crucifixion on us, and he's got the detector there, and he's got it set up, and he's. I'm not going to go and advertise what he's doing because it doesn't deserve it. It's a complete hit job, and he said stuff in there like, I read the comments. I had to screenshot them because I couldn't believe what he was saying. If you want to hear, go read up on defamation and slander, libel laws in this country. I wouldn't be doing that if I was you. But anyway, he has decided to, so I have done something about it. But we'll see how it plays out. First of all, he's gone and done this. He's given me no right of reply, right? It's just gone bang, 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 no right of reply. And we haven't heard from him in 6 months. So I looked at the date on this video. He actually did this a month ago. So he's had the detector for 5 months. Hasn't contacted me, hasn't contacted David. We've heard nothing, nothing, zero, right? And then he goes and does this thing with another 7,000, and he's got this 7,000, and I'm not joking. You got to listen. Oh, gee, I don't want to promote him, but there's one detector there, right? He's got the modded one, right? And you want to hear the EMI coming through. First of all, it's got the coil like that sideways, right? So it's not into the ground. It's just going bang at whatever EMI is around, and the detector is unbelievable, going like this. And he's got little targets, and he's trying to detect these little targets. And I'm going, mate, I'm saying in my head, mate, what are you doing? He's calling the target sometimes is riding on the noise of an interference spike, and he's going, oh yeah, I can hear that. I'm going, yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to say anything defamatory, but my mind is going, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. It's the most ridiculous side-by-side test I've ever seen. And he gets this other detector and he puts it there, and it's making more noise than the one we did. It's gone freaking off its nut with interference. I don't know if he's turned the gain up to try and make it, I don't know. I don't know the settings. It doesn't show the settings, right? And he's trying to say this one's, the standard one's better. And I'm going, mate, you're listening to the noise. You're just riding the noise. Oh my God. I sort of like, I just don't know what to say. And then there's comments there from people who've had their 7,000s done, right? You can go read them and say, what do you like? I'm not going to say their names either, but if you ever find it, you can see what they've said. And these people are reputable people and have had 7,000s and even 6s done. And they are extremely happy and said, well, their testing is, one of them there, I think it said good improvement on 4 out of 5 targets, where something smaller was round about the same, which is probably understandable, but don't take my word for it. Go read it. And whoever's had these detectors done, you can leave comments on this video. Tell people what you think. If you think it's a bunch of hoo-ha rubbish, there's no difference, say so. If there is a difference, say so. The thing is, and other people go, oh, it costs so much to do the 7,000. Well, guess what? I'm doing things in a 7,000 that if I did something wrong and I was testing and I slipped and I blew up the board, well, I'm up for $6,000 buying new boards, right? Me. I have to take that risk on working on these detectors. They're not without risk. I haven't, blown up. These detectors are very complicated. You've got to be careful, and I am careful. Believe me, I am so careful. And, you could blow one up, and that's just something I have to take, and I have to price that in. If I ever do it, that I'll have to buy new boards. And, maybe I could repair it. I have repaired these before, of course. That's what I do. I repair these detectors. And, most of it is okay and easy enough for me to do. But there's some parts of these detectors that they have modules, right? And the module is the electronic subboard, and it is in a encapsulation of black resiny stuff. It's made that you can't get it apart, and that is called, if that ever blows up, they don't replace it. They replace both boards in the detector, right? Because they say they're matched. I have run one board out of another to another to another. Makes no damn difference. If you want my opinion, I've done it. Doesn't make any difference. But they want to sell you the boards as a matched pair. Yeah, whatever. I've swapped them around, so many times. I've never ever detected any difference. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. So it's just my opinion. But I have to cover this stuff that if something goes wrong, guess whose shoulders it's on? It's on my shoulders, right? Now, people think, right, that they're going to get all this extra depth. And they complain when they don't get all this extra depth. And the thing is, you will get extra depth, but it's not in the way that you normally detect, because the depth comes from lowering the noise figure. It doesn't come from increasing the power out. That would probably be a disadvantage. It would light up the ground and you'd have more ground noise. You're probably better off dropping the transmit power, if anything, but we don't want to do that because we'll lose big targets. So everything in that part of it stays the same. The receiver, right? The receiver in these detectors, the thing that picks up the signal from the target, is what we work with, the receiver part of it. And what powers that receiver has to be noise free as best as possible as we can do it. So we do the power supplies in the detector. And we also do work, especially on the 7000, the way it works, to an extra, how do I call this? There's a way that we can do extra stabilization of the transmitter, okay? Because it is what, they call zero voltage transmission. You don't want any fluctuation in that voltage, zero voltage, because it receives during that time period, and any noise like this is going to cause you to lose the ability to hear faint signals. And it'll throw the ground balance out and throw the whole thing, in my opinion. I always say that just in case. So anyway, what this guy's doing is testing this detector with this a train wreck of EMI, and trying to say that that the detection depth. Well, what would happen if with EMI and you got the gain set up really high, and you're just dragging it in, and you got a lower noise figure? Well, guess what it's going to do? You're probably going to get, because you crank the gain so high and you haven't adjusted for the whole circumstances of what's going on with the EMI and whatever. He hasn't even. It really, really bugs me, because I don't know how to say what he's doing in a logical fashion, because it's illogical what he's doing. And a detector with a lower noise threshold will pick up more EMI at a higher gain. Well, at a higher gain level, because technically, if you lower the noise floor, you can lower the gain and still get the same target response with less noise. And that's probably what I really want to say. You don't need massive amounts of gain anymore. You can use a small amount of gain and get the same effect as this other thing there, like a bucking bronco cranked up to get the same effect. Signal to noise ratio. Guys, look it up. Go look up SNR, signal to noise ratio. Go into one of these AIs and say, explain signal to noise ratio, okay? It'll tell you what we do to the detectors. It'll tell you the advantages, okay? Don't just listen to me about it. Go and research it. Look it up for yourself. Now, you've probably seen my old videos that I was using a coupling loop on some of the circuit boards in 7s and 6s and showing you all the extra radiation from certain parts of it where the noise is. Well, what we do is we work on that to shut it up, right? That's one of my specialties, was power supply design years ago. but doing massive power supplies, that if you want to power a tram or a train, um, or huge electrical equipment. We used to do inverters. We used to do power for motors, DC motors, all sorts things that draw 10 kilowatts of power. I used to do that because you couldn't do that and just generate massive amounts of interference, because it would block out half the bloody radio systems for about a kilometre around. So all that sort of noise stuff, that's one of my specialties. Low noise stuff. I used to design input stages for satellites. I've done it for a couple of companies. I'm talking about stuff up in the gigahertz, running noise figures of 0.35 dB, up in the microwave realms. Now, obviously, everything's now done in China, no matter what it is, so I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I've worked on heaps of satellite systems. I've worked on satellite receivers. I've worked on, distance record attempts across Australia from here to Perth, using 10 milliwatts of power on the microwave frequencies with massive big dishes and stuff like that. I used to make parabolic dishes, used to make my own amp. I used to make everything myself, everything. So I've got a massive background in power electronics and everything up to satellite stuff. So I do DC to daylight, basically. And also I did work on laser communication. So, but then again, all this stuff, it was all cutting edge at the time. And now it's all China. You're not going to do it. You're not going to make, infrared laser communication systems now in Australia. You won't make any money out of it. It costs too much. They're all made in Taiwan, all made in China, or some are actually made in Korea, and some are still made in the US, but these things are military based, so it's pretty hard to get in on US military contracts. So there's a bit of background if you really needed it. So what we do is we stop the noise being generated in the detector as best we can do to drop the detector's noise floor, getting into its workings, its own workings. And when you can do that, you can then have an advantage on hearing stuff that you can't hear. So that's how it works. There's no extra power. There's nothing, but you've got to understand that if you've got all this extra sensitivity and a drop in the noise floor, you can't go and barrage it, turning the gain up with a massive amount of EMI, because that is just going to obscure the signal. It's going to completely destroy how the sensitive part of the detector works in trying to decipher these tiny signals. We've done a lot of work making the detector quiet, and you've gone and cranked it up to pump it full of EMI. I mean, the EMI is going to win in that situation. You may hear a signal like this, where normally it's under the internal noise in the detector or in the device, whatever it may be, and you can't hear it. But then you've gone and overlaid all this crap over the top of it, and the poor detector is just going to go, what's going on? And like I say, don't run your gain high. Don't do it. You don't need to. All it does, it makes a signal that you would normally hear, and your ears are just listening for it, right? And you would hear it because there's nothing competing. It's a real nothing, and then woo, and then you go, oh, I heard that. And if you got this and you got this woo in there as well, your brain will automatically, this is proven, will dumb down all that noise. It'll go, oh, ignore that crap. That is just too much for me. I can't make sense of it. And if you have a target signal mixed in with that, you're not going to hear it. Well, if you're concentrating, you may hear it, but you're going to ignore it. Your brain will automatically ignore that. David did an article on this. We did a lot of research, and David put an article, and I think I might have as well, years apart in the Gold, Gem and Treasure, about the effect of noise basically on the way your brain works. And for extended periods of time listening to all this noise, and I've gone out, I used to do training with people. I haven't got time for it anymore. I don't think you can get me to do it even if you offered me $1 million. But people would be walking along, right? And this is very common. And I'd say, like, this is in the early days and older detectors, not newer detectors. This is probably using GP Extremes and 3000s. And people I'd listen beside them, and I'd be just doing it so long I just know, and you would hear it. They'd be going along, and it'd be going like that, and they keep walking, and you go, okay, stop! You just walked over something. You walked over a signal, and they go, did I? I didn't hear it. Go back, and then, oh, so it is, right? So it's horses for courses with this stuff. You got to, get your head right, and don't fill it up with this. Don't do that. You'll never get gold. And the way this guy who made this video trying to smear brown stuff all over us is the politest way I could put it. If he detects the way he was doing his demonstration, he will never find gold in his life, right? And that's what he said. I need to overcome my gold drought, right? So anyway, he was happy. He was happy enough to not communicate with us for 6 months. In his video, he says a year. I don't know how a year from September to now, but 6 months or so. Please pick up the phone and ring us. Talk to David. Send more emails. And now this is the interesting bit. He dropped his detector off at Dave's place, and he picked it up from Dave's place, right? He never gave his address, but to drop it off and pick it up, he must be local. He must be local. But it gets even more interesting, because we've met people we think that have met him out in the bush, and he told them to get their detector done. I'm not joking. By the description, some of the people Dave has spoken to, because he's doing research on this, he says that this guy early on was really rapt and told people that they should get their detector done. So this guy's very distinctively, looks a distinctive way. He has a distinctive voice, right? And yeah. Anyway, we've just been collating data, right? So if something happens that is quite spectacular, I'll let you all know. But don't go and do that without right of reply and just launch into a complete load of slanderous defamation type video and put it out in public as a this and whatever. Now here's the interesting thing, right? I'll say this. Within that time period he's had the detector, he's had it for 6 months, right? If you had a beef, contact us. Please contact us. We offer a 5-year warranty on our work we do to the detectors. On our work. I don't guarantee, for instance, right, if I took a car to a mechanic and they worked on the engine and then the differential blew up. That mechanic's not liable for the differential. It was already on the car. Same with detectors. I'm not liable if things connected to things. Yes, I will definitely say we look after our customers anyway. I've had people drop stuff in or send it in, and it's nothing we've done. Actually, I had one the other day. It was a resistor was going high on the power supply on the current sense, but I just fixed that for nothing. Off we go, because we've already worked on his detector. It's nothing we've done. We don't work on that part of it, and it was all to do with front end stuff. So on the power supply on that one, it was just standard, been standard from the day it was made. But came in. I just said, well, he's a good customer, and I said, don't charge him. And that's that. So he'll probably know who he is. But there's a lot of stuff like that happens. I should be doing these detectors. Look on the bench, right? I've got all these 2000s I'm working on to, they make really, really good deep gold and deep meteorite detectors with big coils. They go well with our drag coils, by the way. So how about I give myself a plug? We make the drag coils, and they work really well on those. So look on our DetectorMods.com web store, and you can see what we sell. I don't really push it that much. I'm just just got too much on. But this video had to be made as an explanation of how modifications work. On the other detectors, because like when I say I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not communicating it properly. On the older detectors, there's no modules. Okay, we can do a lot of stuff to them. We can do a lot of work, down to individual component changes, all sorts of stuff. With the 7000, because they've done a module in the input stage, right? It's stuff that I can do and I won't do, because people will do things and not do it properly, so I don't do it, right? But dropping the noise floor is critical. It's a no-brainer. Gain is great, as long as it's frog in the throat, as long as it's done on the input of the detector very early on, but not necessarily on the first stage. And I could go into a great lot of detail about that, because all you really need to do is just bring up some amplification with a super low noise design and then do it on a second stage. That's the way you do it. If you try to do everything on the first stage and control it, it'll introduce a lot of noise, and mainly thermal noise, resistor noise, stuff like that. And I heard footsteps go past the door. There's ways of doing things. I've done this for a living. I know how to do it. The other thing, we have confirmation, I'll tell you this right now, that all these new coils that weren't working with, people were saying that there was coils, new coils that weren't working with other people's upgrades on detectors, right? Not saying who, but they weren't working, and weren't working on double D coils, weren't working on the new coils. Our modifications work on double D coils all the way to the highest gain setting, and also work on the new coils properly. Okay, they just work, because things have to be done, and I know what to do to make it work on every coil you could ever shove on the thing. So it's guaranteed to work on the new coils. All our 4500, 5000 mods will work on new coils. And like I say, with the variable gain, that the front end gain we're adding to the detectors, you don't have to, but it's great to have, because you can always crank the detector back to cut out the EMI, but still get that benefit from the low signal to noise rate. Oh, sorry, low, high signal to noise ratio, as in low noise and signal popping up above that noise, because you're getting rid of the noise. We get rid of the noise in the detector, right? And all the amplification stages are very low noise. We don't introduce noise into the detector. There's particular ways you got to do that with first stage, second stage, or third stage gain settings. But yeah, we do it properly, how you're meant to do it. Okay. And basically, we've done all the hard work. And if you want to go and turn the gain up, all right, where you're, you're popping inconsistencies in the ground into the detector, you're amplifying it enough to smash it with EMI, well, you just basically screwed all our hard work we've done for you. Because don't detect like that. Turn it down, people. Turn it down. And the reason I'm really being pedantic on this is because of this guy's video of his EMI blast. Should know better, but obviously he doesn't. So he was on, in his email was on about something about audio amplifiers and burning capacitors in for 20 hours. And, I shook my head. No, you don't do that. A capacitor is a capacitor is a capacitor, right? It's going to work. And, uh, I'll tell you, I'll give anyone $1 million cash, right? If I made an audio amplifier up and I made 2 recordings and I said, here, this is made, it's on, listen to it. And I played the same material and I said, oh, this is after the capacitors are burned in for 20 hours. And if you can tell me the difference, I will do backward handstands. It can't. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, that was said. There's other things said. And at the end of the day, I don't know about the structure of this video, because there's mention of other people that do things. So I don't know if it's actually, this is just my opinion. It might have been put out just to be a hit job. And if you read the comments, there's certain things that are said that are from people that just pop up, who I don't even know what they're commenting for. But it looks like, in my opinion, personal opinion, it looks like it's sort of set up a little bit. It's staged. And also, the person who made this video, in his comments that have been screenshotted, said he's going to make, it was worded in a particular way, that he's going to make more videos trying to prove a point. So he hasn't even asked us to check his detector to make sure something hasn't gone wrong in it, or something of this nature. I don't know. Does he even know how to turn the thing on properly and adjust the controls? I don't know. From his video, he has no idea how the detectors work. He has no idea how the modifications work. And I don't know why he even bothered getting them done. This has no understanding. If you have a look, it's self-evident. Just watch the video. And if you guys detect like he tests, I feel sorry for your gold tally, because it would probably be non-existent. So that's bloody hell. That's an hour of waffle. But like I say, I hope you all get something out of this video. And like I say, if you do want to know more, send an email. Send it to Dave. If it's really super complicated, he will send it to me. All right. If he can handle it, he will handle it. But the thing is, he told me that we've been worked off our proverbials, and Dave was up till 11 o'clock last night making batteries for people, right? He's trying to develop things as well, and I'm developing stuff, but I've got too much work on to do the development at the moment. But there's another stack of detectors up there, and there's more coming in today again. So look, I'm just, doing these videos. This is taking an hour out of my workday, and I just have to do it because of I can't just let stuff what other people have done trying to do like, in my opinion, what I call a hit job of some description, and let it ride, because that means I've accepted it, which then will water down any legal recourse. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. You can't let it go. When you become aware of it, you have to act on it straight away. I have. First of all, to act on it, I have sent a message into YouTube. So that's documented, and I've basically said what is going on. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to ring the guy. I tried to ring him the other day, and he was in a restaurant. And remember I said about signal to noise ratio? I couldn't hear him over the people in the restaurant. If they all went away, which is the noise, I'd be able to communicate. I tried to ring him back. His phone rang out. So I don't know if he's going to avoid me. And then he left me a message, and I think he knows who I am. And then, so I'm going to try and ring him back again, right? This is the guy, right, who made the video. And just to be open and honest, I'm going to tell him what the repercussions might be if he wants to target me with no right of reply and no ability to see if there's something wrong with his detector, or he just doesn't know how to use it, right? Or he's expecting too much. He just hasn't got a clue. I don't know. I can't work everyone out, but I can see what they do, and I just come up with clueless, But I was going to. I'm a bit more polite than what I was going to do. I really thought about putting his email up and showing you what was said, so you'd understand it. And because if you read it, it just says that I'm working wet ground, and why would you need a reply off that and then go on about 20-hour burn-in for capacitors or something? And I said, basically, mate, this is my thinking. Wait for the ground to dry out, do it again, right? And never heard back. So, 6 months, didn't hear back. And in that time period, never contacted us. One email a day after, and I still say nothing from that time period. 6 months, nothing. And then let's go and do the hatchet job. But I'm a bit sus of it all, how it's laid out. I'm a bit sus. But like I say, I've already had advice off people who, basically work in suits. Okay, they work in suits. Put it that way. And looking into it. So I'll either do something or do nothing, because it causes damage. It damages the business. It damages people's reputations, and you're not allowed to do that, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're pushing an agenda. So, like I say, if I ring him up, I'm going to tell him the story. If he wants to leave it there, well, you know what's going to happen, don't you? We'll see what happens. But, you just can't let people do that to you, because it becomes something, it just spreads. And then what you'll find is, because of that's up, anyone that, you get troublemakers in this industry, stirrers, troublemakers, part of a crew, part of a clan, part of the fanboy club over here or there or whatever, want to make a complete mess of things and try and, benefit for themselves and try and do things that, try and make someone else look bad when it's totally unjustified. So there's a lot of parts of this, and don't really like airing out the dirty laundry, but I know a lot of guys who are into this would have seen it and will think that it's something to it. I'm just telling you that it is nothing to it, and this person is doing this as far as I can see, in my opinion, it's like some sort of vendetta. Because why the zero contact? I don't understand. It's like if you had your car worked on and suddenly it was running on 5 cylinders out of 6, wouldn't you take it back to the mechanic and say, "Oh, something's not right," or would you just keep driving it? That's what I mean. It's the same thing. You had your new tyres put on your car, and one kept deflating. Oh, you just keep driving it, pump it up, never go back. Same thing. It's crazy. I don't understand. So yeah, guys, if any of you have any more knowledge on the goings on, you can just send us an email, or if it's not too curly, you can just drop it in the comments and tell me what you think. So, like I say, I'm not giving them any free advertising. I probably already have. I'm not giving you the video links and stuff like that because it's just bloody disgusting. I don't like it. It's maybe people look at it and say, well, there have been comments there that said, "Mate, what are you doing?" Right? There's people that watch this channel, and they've gone on there and made comments. I know Adam made some comments. He's had his detectors done from us, and he's happy as Larry. So what's this other guy on about? And Jeff's there made the comment, "Mate, turn your sensitivity down," because all he's doing is amplifying EMI and trying to do comparisons. Anyway. That's that. Anyway, look, this has gone over an hour, and it's gone over lunchtime, and crazy. Yeah. Anyway, yep, it's ready. I'm not going to mention anything because I don't know if you want me to mention it to the owner of that, but it's done, right? And you can tell me what you think about it, right? You can do before and after, or you can't. Well, actually, yes. He has a YouTube channel where he's used it, right? So he can make a before and after evaluation. So do that. Just do it. Don't tell me you're going to do it. Just put it up there, and after you've done it all, send a link so I can watch it. Good or bad, I will just see how it goes. I'm not going to intervene, so I'll just leave it like that. But that's where we are. I tried to sort of do something about this. David was not impressed. David's the sort of person that can, David goes to the gym and is very strong. Don't piss him off. Don't. Very, very mild, very, very well mannered. Very easy to get along with. Very easy to get along with. Just don't do the wrong thing, like purposely, because I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it. So I'm just saying that it's not going to go and do anything, but might growl in your ear or something. I don't know. See what happens. But anyway, anyone's got any info on this stuff? What's going on? And guys, I've heard off a few people about the kickbacks that are going on in this industry. If anyone else has info on kickbacks, anonymously, drop it in the comments. Like I say, if you don't want to out yourself, set up a new YouTube account or something and just say it. I don't care. I want to know who's doing the kickbacks and how it all works. And yeah, there's some funny things happening at the moment too. But I don't really want to say too much about a lot of stuff going on. You know, because to me it's obvious, but I don't really want to go and say it. Anyway, catches.